In 2011, I drowned in a quarry outside my hometown. No one ever found out what really happened. No one ever will. But I have to write this down. I have to get it out before I start forgetting. I was 22, reckless, and broke. My friend Robbie and I had hiked out past the ridge, through that old deer trail that kids used to claim was haunted. It wasn't, at least not in the way people thought. It was just quiet, overgrown, and led to a forgotten slate quarry that filled with water decades ago. A black, cold lake hidden in the woods. Locals warned about sinkholes and sudden drop-offs. We ignored them. It was a brutal summer afternoon. We jumped in like idiots, shouting and laughing, the sound echoing off the slate walls. I don't know how long I was under before I knew I wasn't coming up. Maybe my foot caught on something. Maybe it cramped. I don't know. What I do remember is the exact moment the light faded. The way it looked like it was being swallowed from above. Then, nothing. But that nothingness didn't last. I woke, or whatever you want to call it, in a place I didn't recognize. Not at first. There was light. Not warm sunlight, but something pale and total, like the glow inside a light bulb. Everything was suffused with it. It didn't cast shadows. I wasn't in my body. I didn't even have a sense of a body. But I had awareness, and fear, and then a sound, not a voice, not exactly, but a resonance, like a deep musical note vibrating through the airless space. It filled me with a pressure that didn't hurt, but disoriented me. I couldn't tell if it was a greeting or a warning. Then they arrived. There were 5 of them. At least, that's what my mind registered. They weren't symmetrical. They didn't walk or float. They just were. Their presence pressed against mine, and I felt like a membrane stretched thin. They didn't speak, but they made themselves known. I understood them in the way you understand gravity, as something inescapable. I thought I was being judged. It felt like a trial, not for sins, but for potential. My memories unfolded before them like a gallery. My fears, my grief, my shame, all laid bare, but not out of malice. They weren't sadists. They were scientists, or farmers. They were assessing the harvest. That's what this is. What life is. A system. A cultivation engine. What I learned, or was made to understand, is that consciousness is rare, but more importantly, it's nutritious. Soul energy, for lack of a better term, is a commodity. It's mined, not for power in any traditional sense, but for something far more abstract and ancient. The universe isn't a mistake or a miracle. It's a crop field. They grow us like wheat. I was shown the pattern dictating, the cold mechanics of it all. Universe after universe engineered to the brink of collapse, all to birth self-aware life forms whose psychic output could be harvested and repurposed. I saw other civilizations, ones I didn't recognize. Creatures of light, mist, crystal, all had passed through this same process. Some ascend. What tyranny? Most are used, broken down and distributed across planes. I couldn't begin to understand. This place, this afterlife, it isn't heaven. It's a sorting facility, a processing plant. And I was next. One of the beings, or whatever they were, reached toward me. Not physically, but with intent. I felt a pulling sensation, like my essence was being spooled out like thread, and with it came pain. But not physical pain. Emotional, existential, layered in a way I can't describe. It was grief, multiplied, loss magnified. The sensation of being forgotten, of realizing you never matter. I screamed, but not out loud. It was more like I turned inside out with horror. And then I was dropped. Like a fish deemed too small, thrown back into the pond. I came to with Robbie kneeling over me, slapping my face and screaming. I vomited quarry water and snot all over his jeans. I shook violently, and I remembered everything, every detail, every soundless thought, every alien emotion. But I didn't say anything. Not right away. Over the years, I've tried to forget. I've told myself it was a hallucination brought on by lack of oxygen, a vivid death dream. But that's a lie, because the more time passes, the more I feel them watching. Not directly, more like a program running in the background of my life. I can't look at the stars without flinching. Not anymore, because now I know what's out there, and they know I know. A few months ago, a woman found me after a book signing. She looked completely normal. Jeans, cardigan, polite smile. She asked me if I believed in near-death experiences. I told her I wasn't sure. She just nodded and handed me a folded piece of paper. On it was a drawing. Not artistic, not detailed, but I recognized it instantly. One of the beings. One of the harvesters. She said nothing else and walked away. I stood there, shaking, holding a sketch of my nightmare. Of our truth. Oh, I don't know how many of us there are. How many who've seen what I've seen. But I know most don't speak. Most don't write. Most are too afraid of what might happen if they do. I'm done being afraid. I was told in that place that silence would grant me mercy. That compliance meant I would return one day to a slightly higher rank among the harvested. I've thought about that promise every night since, but I'd rather go back screaming. So here it is. Heaven isn't what we think it is, and neither is life. A week after I posted a heavily redacted version of my account in an online forum, the dreams started. Not normal dreams. None of the shifting nonsense or half-remembered stories the mind conjures. These were precise, surgical, always the same room. White walls, a single metal chair, and something breathing behind me. I never turn. I can't. The moment I try, I wake drenched in sweat, my muscles locked and tingling like they've just been released from electric current. On the fifth night, the room changed. The walls pulsed, almost imperceptibly, but I noticed, like a heartbeat. That's when I understood. The room was alive. Or maybe I was inside something. I stopped sleeping after that. My phone rang constantly. No caller ID. When I answered, there was nothing on the other end. Not silence, static, but not random static. It was patterned, musical. .u, like the resonance I heard during the drowning. I started unplugging everything in the house. Landline, line, internet. Even removed the SIM card from my cell. Still, they reached me. One morning, every screen in my apartment blinked on at once. TV, laptop, microwave clock. Even the old dead monitor I'd stored in the closet. All displaying the same thing. A single, pulsing glyph I'd never seen before, but instantly recognized. It was one of theirs. A symbol from the sorting plane. It disappeared after a few seconds. I tried taking a photo. None of my devices worked. Battery dead. Files corrupted. Power gone. I tried to run. I bought a bus ticket to a state I'd never visited. Changed my name on every document I could. Lived in cheap motels. Switched rooms. Burned the clothes I was wearing when I drowned. None of it mattered. Everywhere I went, the same thing would happen eventually. Someone would hand me something. A note. A matchbook. A receipt. Always with a mark drawn in the corner. Their mark. And never from the same person twice. That's when I realized the harvesters weren't alone. They had intermediaries. People here. Watchers. Maybe former experiencers like me. Maybe something else. I don't think they want to kill me. If they did, they would have by now. I think they want me to understand what breaking the rule really means, to feel the weight of the warning, not fear, submission. But I'm not submitting. I've started contacting others, people like the woman at the signing, people who have seen the light, the beings, the systems. We're trying to piece it together. Not to escape, we know there's no escaping it, but to reveal, to share, to prepare. With sheaves, prepare red raw, up to chiu, pine, tramson, I, shu, dice tree, sector, tier, awa, cut. They can't stop all of us. Or maybe they can. But even if they do, this record will survive. Somewhere, someone will read it, and they'll know the truth. We are grown. When I dang. We are culled. And what waits for us after death isn't peace. It's purpose. A purpose that isn't ours. So this is where it ends. Or maybe where it begins again. I've stopped driving. The car gave out miles ago, somewhere off a service road that isn't on any map. I left it behind and kept walking until I found this place. An old ranger station or cabin, tucked deep in some forest that doesn't match the season. The trees are leafless, but the ground is warm. No birds, no bugs, just stillness. I've set up the last of my gear. One dying laptop, one backup battery. Enough charge to finish this. And I can feel them outside, not watching, waiting, like a breath held in the dark. They know I've done my part. I don't expect to be found. Not really. I don't know that this message will even survive. Maybe it'll rot here with me. Maybe it'll slip into the digital tide and end up in someone else's inbox, someone else's dream, someone else's mirror. But if you see this, if you feel this, then you've already begun the process. The harvest is awareness. The product is propagation. We were never meant to understand. We were meant to repeat. So I leave you with this. The light is not salvation. The voice is not God. The end is not escape. They are coming. They've always been here, and now so are you.